If your company is sitting somewhere between 50 and 200 employees, you know you're in a kind of notoriously tricky spot when it comes to adopting AI, right? Well, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're cutting straight through the hype and breaking down a really specific, highly practical roadmap. It's from the Intelligent Organization, or TIO, and it's built exactly for this group. We call it the Managed Enterprise. Let's just dive right into the blueprint.
So here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the managed enterprise reality, then hit phase 1, set the mandate, phase 2, strategic choices, phase 3, leadership rhythm, and finally phase 4, prove AI value.
All right, part 1, the managed enterprise reality, growing pains. Organizations at this size really do sit in this awkward middle ground. So I want you to ask yourself honestly, is your executive team still carrying way too much integration? You know the drill. At 50 to 200 people, you're absolutely too big for the founder or owner to handle every single decision, but you're definitely too small for some massive bureaucratic transformation office. If you're relying on the individual heroics of just a few key leaders, well, you're actually creating a massive bottleneck for AI adoption. And the root of this bottleneck? It's a fundamental shift in how you operate. Think about a small owner-led business, maybe 10 to 50 people. The owner literally is the system, right? They carry the culture, the choices, the follow-through, all in their head. But the second you cross that 50-employee threshold, boom, you become a managed enterprise. You have to professionalize, but without becoming bogged down in bureaucracy. You suddenly need coordinated execution and accountability that goes way, way beyond the founder's desk.
Which brings us to the defining thesis of this entire framework. It's this: managers are becoming the system. Sure, the CEO still sets the direction, but your middle and frontline managers, they are now your organizational transmission system. If they don't get the AI transformation, your teams absolutely won't either. They have to be equipped to drive this strategy forward.
So how do we get those managers moving in the right direction? TIO gives us this exact 12-month roadmap. Go ahead and anchor this in your mind. Month 1 is all about setting the mandate. Months 2 and 3, we focus on strategic choices. Month 4 is for building a leadership rhythm. And the rest of the year, months 5 through 12, are completely dedicated to mobilizing managers and proving actual tangible value. It's a totally predictable, manageable path for your first year.
Moving right along to 2, phase 1, set the mandate. Now for month 1, I want you to notice what is explicitly missing here. It does not say, pick an AI tool. Actually, the very first move is a direct, honest conversation about the leader's real intent. What must this organization become over the next 3 to 5 years, and why? What exactly is the leader trying to build? And honestly, just as importantly, what are they unwilling to lose? Real transformation starts with ambition, not software.
By the end of that first month, you need some highly practical outputs. You've got to define that enterprise ambition, and you need to establish a basic workforce commitment, just a light version, so employees know exactly what's changing and what's being protected. But pay super close attention to this last point: launching an executive AI fluency program. Listen, before leaders can govern AI, they literally have to understand it. You can start this safely just on personal devices using public information. The whole goal here is to build informed leadership judgment before you expose the entire company to enterprise risk.
All right, on to number 3, phase 2, strategic choices.
So your clear ambition from phase 1, it now has to translate into defined boundaries across months 2 and 3. Because ambition without choices, well, that just leads straight to chaos. Mid-size enterprises are highly, highly vulnerable to hype-driven experimentation right now. If you don't turn your intent into really specific choices, you are going to end up with 1,000 disconnected pilots and endless platform debates with absolutely no common evidence of value. Strategy has to step in here to guide your trade-offs.
So how exactly do you make those choices? You follow these specific steps. First, you build the strategic choices cascade. This answers the big questions. What's our winning aspiration? Where are we going to play? Which specific services or workflows actually matter the most? And how will AI strengthen our advantage? Once you nail those down, you design a scorecard to measure them, and you set crystal clear value priorities. This is what ensures your strategy is specific enough to guide funding and sequencing without completely grinding your day-to-day business to a halt.
Next up, number 4, phase 3, leadership rhythm. Hitting right around month 4, this is make or break time. It's where transformations either become real or they just kind of drift. Think about the classic heavy steering committee approach. We all know it. It's a massive, tangled, bureaucratic nightmare, especially for a company of, say, 150 people. You definitely want to avoid that. At this scale, you need something beautifully agile. You want the geared system of the TIO leadership rhythm. It gives you all that visible accountability, but completely without the drag. The mechanics of this agile rhythm are super precise. You really only need a core group of 3 to 5 leaders. Think operations, finance, people, technology, and risk. Have them meet on a monthly cadence. But here is the absolute golden rule. You can't skip this. Every single agenda item must end with a decision, an action, an owner, or an explicit hold. Honestly, if a governance meeting doesn't create decisions or action, it's nothing more than a burden on your calendar. Just simplify it. And finally, number 5, Phase 4. Mobilize and prove value. Spanning months 5 all the way through 12, planning time is officially over. Action begins. By this phase, your leaders decide and your managers explain. Remember our core thesis from earlier? Managers are the system? Well, to actually make that true, you have to equip them properly. Enter the Manager Activation Pack. It's the ultimate tool to empower your managers to act as that critical organizational transmission system, passing the executive intent smoothly right down to the individual teams. So what's actually inside this pack? Well, it gives local leaders the simple, concrete materials they desperately need. First, it includes the change story, the why this matters. It includes safe AI use rules, so teams actually know where the boundaries are. It explicitly lists team priorities, identifying exactly what they need to focus on today. And finally, a feedback path, showing teams exactly how to raise issues or ideas. You absolutely must give managers these simple materials if you want to make the transformation actionable on the front lines. With your managers equipped, it's time for the teams to move. Seriously, stop treating transformation like an endless planning exercise. But, and this is a big but, do not launch a 1,000-point experiment map either. Focus strictly on just 1 to 3 targeted AI use cases or workflow redesigns. Run them exceptionally well. And as they progress, push them through what TIO calls evidence gates. This is where you deliberately pause and demand to see concrete, measured value before you proceed any further. You score the hard evidence, not the aspiration.
Let's wrap up with a final provocative thought. As you map out the first 12 months of your AI journey, ask yourself, are you accidentally building a bureaucratic reporting burden, or are you building a true system of manager empowerment? For a managed enterprise, survival in the age of AI depends entirely on equipping your managers to be the system. So start with intent, make clear strategic choices, keep your leadership rhythm agile, and go out there and prove real value. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into the TIO framework.